I just learned about urinal cakes and didn't know about them for 25 years. Are there any other examples? Story 1. That people expect you to lift the heavy items and to be the hero when conflict arises. On a lighter note, when men make eye contact with unknown men, they nod downward. If it's someone they know, they nod upward. Story 2. How little we talk about sex among ourselves. The conversations women have would surprise most men. Story 3. Constant pressure to be strong. There is an unspoken rule that men should always appear strong and unemotional. Group chats with absurd debates. We often argue passionately about topics like the best pizza toppings or sports statistics for hours. Unspoken competition. There is a constant low-key competition, whether it's about having the coolest gear or the best job. Fixing things independently. We tend to spend excessive time trying to fix things before admitting we need assistance or calling a professional. Avoiding vulnerability. Many men conceal their struggles or feelings to avoid appearing weak. Unusual solo habits. This includes having deep philosophical conversations with ourselves or practicing dance moves in front of a mirror. Pressure to succeed. There is often a significant expectation to achieve and provide, which can be quite stressful. Men's health issues. Many men do not openly discuss health problems, including mental and physical health issues, which can lead to feelings of isolation. Story 4. When I answer the question about my plans with nothing, it does not mean you can fill it in with whatever you want. My time is not free. It means my actual plans are to do nothing and have a peaceful, quiet day doing as little as possible. Story 5. We tell each other to calm down, and we do so without reading anything else into it beyond a simple request. The vast majority of issues can be resolved by first calming down. Story 6. Men are not constantly driven by sexual desire, nor is that all they seek. Men are human beings as well, and women need to understand this. The term mama's boy is often ridiculed, but it is important to recognize its context. A man may find comfort in his mother's support, as she may be the only person in his life who allows him to express fear, vulnerability, and emotion without judgment or rejection. Story 7. Women have this misconception that men go out into the world and have many women pursuing them. I don't think they understand how difficult the initial stages of dating can be. Story 8. I am not great with hints. Saying that you fancy some type of chocolate is not the same as saying, "Get me some chocolate." My wife does this and then gets frustrated that I didn't understand the hint. Story 9. That her behavior can get me in trouble. I remember being around 17 with my first girlfriend. A group of troublemakers started shouting and threatening to confront us. I wanted to walk away, but she wouldn't, and I couldn't leave her. She started shouting back, and I ended up getting hit in the mouth. Another time, with a different girl, we walked past a large dog into a fish and chip shop. The dog barked, and I said, "Hello, dog." A man followed us in, shouting, "Don't you tell my dog to go away." So I explained that I merely said hello. The man backed off, but then my girlfriend suddenly spoke up. The man sucker punched me and left, telling me to control her. While I don't agree with his actions, she should have managed her response better. Story 10. It has been mentioned several times, but I have to add this again. We men do not interpret hints very well. I made that very clear to my wife, then girlfriend, 26 years ago. If you have something to say, please just tell or ask me. You will spend more time being upset that I'm not picking up on what you're communicating. Story 11. Men appreciate compliments just as much as you probably do. However, they do not receive them as frequently. Story 12. Men are often expected to do things like fix a car, discover why a light isn't working, negotiate deals for others, and defend people from unusual situations. This perception places all these responsibilities on men, as others assume it is their duty. Story 13. You have to take the initiative in every aspect of your life if you want things to progress. No one will do something for you out of goodwill, and no one will engage with you on their own accord unless they want something from you. Story 14. How lonely it is. If you do not initiate conversation and relationships, most people, especially women, will not even acknowledge you. Story 15. Bathrooms without dividers between urinals feature trough urinals. The possibility of violence is always present. Men can be completely themselves with close male friends when women are not around. This environment can lead to deep philosophical conversations, fighting, and even launching fireworks at each other, sometimes all in the same night. I have witnessed this countless times. The presence of a single woman in the group, whether she is a girlfriend, wife, or friend, changes the dynamics of interactions. Consider reading Self-Made Man by Nora Vincent. Story 16. We notice when another man is being inappropriate more quickly than women do. I take public transit daily and see this all the time. The inappropriate behavior usually stops when they make eye contact with another man who knows exactly what they are doing, and we do not tolerate it. Story 17. How ready some men are to perceive words or gestures from another man as a threat and escalate things to a fight. I was in a large parking lot recently when a driver sped down an aisleway too fast in a company truck. Engine roaring. I yelled, "Slow down," and the driver slammed on the brakes and came back around screaming at me. "Do you want to fight? Get over here. I'll take you on. Where are you going?" And so on. He only left when I sat in my car until he calmed down. I said nothing more than those 2 words. I wish I had taken a photo of the company information on the truck, but this man was so aggressive that I genuinely felt afraid. Women do have to be cautious of men flipping out on them, but in public, in broad daylight, with other people around, if a woman had said what I said, the aggressive person would have sworn at her and gone about his day. It wouldn't have escalated into a fight. Men have to worry about what could happen if they cause any kind of confrontation with another man because you never know who is itching for a fight. Story 18. I wonder if women realize how hard it is for men to make friends or to ask someone out. Story 19. My wife didn't realize that you should always place your hands on top of the steering wheel, so they are easily visible if a police officer pulls you over. Story 20. Before we enter the home after a long day of work, we often sit in the car to unwind from the hectic day and enjoy the calmness. Story 21. Not all women, of course, but I have spoken with many who believe that men do not fear for their own safety in suspicious environments, such as late at night, in bad neighborhoods, or around total strangers. They also seem to think that women's fears are somehow more justified. When I mention that men are more likely to be victims of violence from strangers, the conversation often shifts to dismissal because most perpetrators are men, as if that should help the victim. Dismissal by claiming we are only discussing sexual crimes, ignoring the severity of other types of violence and the harm done to victims. Anecdotal comparisons. "Oh, but this happened to me. What happened to you?" When I share my experience, they either doubt it or quickly change the subject with a dismissive, "I'm sorry that happened to you." Anyway, story 22. How afraid we are of vulnerability because we have been misled into believing it makes us lesser. We are not unwilling, we are scared. What we need is not "you can share your feelings," but "it's okay, you can trust me." Also, that phenomenon that occurs when our belly buttons are pressed just right. Story 23. We have deep emotional lives and a desire to love and be loved. Many of us have experienced sharing our pain with a woman, only to have salt thrust into the wound the moment she gets upset. Instead of physical violence, many women resort to emotional harm, so we must develop inner strength to protect ourselves. Story 24. We really don't care what their definition of a real man is, especially since it varies from woman to woman. Story 25. Being called to build things for people, mainly family, fully expecting you to just show up and create something like a terrace, a shelter, or something similar, despite having no actual experience. Story 26. I want help and validation. I need someone to reach out and check in. I cannot physically ask for it. No matter how much I want to, it is physically painful for me to ask, followed by intense regret that I should have done it myself. I am a left-leaning person married to a very strong woman who works hard to validate and help me as much as possible. It has been 36 years of training to be a man. Story 27. We can catch up with a good friend for hours and not actually discuss anything deep or meaningful. Last time I visited an old friend's house, we chatted a lot and made each other laugh. It was essentially small talk with added jokes, stretched over the course of about 3 hours. I don't remember the last time I had a properly deep and serious conversation with any of my male friends. Anyone female tends to immediately talk about my wife and kids. My buddy, as mentioned earlier, didn't ask about this, and I nearly forgot to ask about his newborn baby. That's men's conversations for you. At least that's my life experience. Story 28. Random knocks on your front door for tools and fixing things. I'm the only person in my stairwell of my apartment. They just assume I have those tools and that I know how to use them. Until now, they have been correct. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who grew up poor, so I learned some skills to survive. Story 29. It's more of a young person issue. If there isn't a young man available, the responsibility often shifts to a young woman. That's just how it tends to be with older generations. Being the unofficial tech support is a common role. I may not know how to fix your router, printer, or tablet, but I can attempt to search for a solution online. It's not sufficient to send a video of myself demonstrating the steps on my own device. I often have to show up in person to assist. Story 30. That relationships with women are perfect and that girlfriends or wives are never stressful, toxic, abusive, or unfaithful. I hear straight women wishing they were lesbian because they believe women can't be as stressful and toxic as men in relationships. The grass isn't always greener. I am close friends with two lesbians. One was emotionally abused by her ex-girlfriend before she met her wife, and she even attempted suicide due to the abuse. My other lesbian friend had serious trust issues with her current wife when they started dating because many of her ex-girlfriends had cheated on her. Additionally, my aunt is bisexual, and she has told me she prefers dating men because, in her experience, men are less stressful. Her ex-girlfriend was the only partner who ever physically abused her. Consider the tragic case of Star Hobson, a one-year-old girl who was sadly killed by her stepmother because her biological mother wanted to leave the abusive relationship. The stepmother killed the little girl to hurt the biological mother. I am not saying men aren't stressful, abusive, or toxic because they can be. It depends on the individual, not the sex, which further supports my point that dating certain women and being with certain, not all, women isn't as perfect as one might think. This is assuming the man is straight or bisexual. Story 31. Our significant other jumping into a fight that is about to break out almost guarantees it will escalate because you are putting the person most precious to us in a dangerous situation. As soon as she gets so much as bumped, it's past the point of no return. Also, don't grab his hands. Many times, guys get knocked out cold while their significant other is trying to hold both his hands and talk him out of it, and he ends up getting sucker punched. Please stop that behavior. Story 32. Close female family members are unexpectedly sending you links to things they say they need. Story 33. It's funny because I'm currently in a relationship, but I have platonic female friends who have asked me about my sex life and whether my partner and I are going to get married soon. I find it surprising how much detail women share about their sex lives. However, men typically don't discuss this topic as openly with each other, aside from casual remarks like, "So, did you have a good night at work?" And we usually just respond, "Yeah, it was good." I honestly know the sizes of some of my friends because of these conversations. Story 34. If we all wear the same shirt to a festival, we will most likely become brothers for the entire event, to the point of wearing the same shirt for days. Story 35. When it comes to cars, I have felt ripped off when buying them and getting them fixed. Not all the time, but I have brought this up in conversations, and my experiences have been dismissed. Story 36. Some of the urinal cakes are mats designed to prevent cigarettes from going down the drain. The more innovative mats feature a soccer goal and a small ball on a spring. Story 37. The unwritten law that speaks volumes when a woman bats her eyelids to help her. Thankfully, with the empowerment movement, women can now change their own tires and light bulbs. Story 38. I'm willing to bet this happens to women once in 100 lifetimes. Being hassled by security or police because someone complained about a suspicious person. It isn't a constant occurrence, but it likely happens about once a year on average. The last time it happened to me was last year when I was in the waiting room of a veterinary hospital. My cat was dying of cancer, and the veterinary oncologist was examining him and giving him his first chemotherapy treatment. I was approached by security, who wanted me to leave the building because there were complaints that I was threatening. Someone lacking empathy saw the look of anguish and anxiety on my face and thought to herself that I was acting strange, pacing in the corner of the room away from others. She felt I was a threat and called security to escort me off the premises. Security prioritized her feelings over the situation. Story 39. When we are young, everything we do, such as asking you out, dating, giving gifts, and going to the movies, seems to revolve around the overarching goal of intimacy. Story 40. We do most of our bonding through group chats with friends, often at the same time. We usually discuss various topics during these conversations. Story 41. For the vast majority of them, pretty much anything. They live in a bubble of carefully cultivated ignorance. Story 42. Sexual harassment at an early age. Every guy had a relative or an inappropriate neighbor who was overly forward. Story 43. When you place something under the computer desk and accidentally spill some without noticing, and later the ants come to eat it, it's quite unpleasant. Story 44. I don't know if anyone else has experienced it, but the best way I can describe it is the red can suddenly emerge from deep inside when you're angry. You lose sight in your peripherals and become completely focused on your target, with nothing that will stop you from hurting them. It has never come from fights for me, but rather when someone has crossed me multiple times. This might just be anger issues from a few years ago, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone else has read this and can share their experiences. Story 45. Two intoxicated friends at the end of a party who find themselves alone often pour their hearts out to each other. Story 46. My boyfriend showed me how you can insert your fingers into the pouches that the testicles retract into. It was surprising. I had no idea you all had these hidden pouches. Story 47. Men are naturally influenced by the threat of violence. We are generally cordial to each other because we do not want to fight. Women often express themselves freely because, in the majority of cases, there are no repercussions. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.